iOS 26.5.1 update for iPhone is coming soon. Apple is about to release another iPhone update, and most people are going to ignore it. Big mistake. Because buried inside this small-looking update are a few changes that could quietly improve your battery life, tighten your iPhone security, and fix problems you probably didn't even realize were caused by iOS itself. And here's the crazy part. A lot of iPhone users think the 0.5.1 updates are minor. But historically, these are the updates that fix the annoying stuff Apple doesn't talk about on stage. In this video, we're breaking down what's likely coming in iOS 26.5.1, who should update immediately, what problems it may solve, and one hidden reason advanced users actually wait for these versions before fully trusting a new iPhone update. Let's get into it. If you've owned an iPhone for a while, you already know the cycle. Apple releases a major update. People rush to install it. Then suddenly, battery drain. Random overheating. Apps crashing. Bluetooth acting weird. Wi-Fi disconnecting for no reason. And then a few weeks later, Apple quietly releases a point update, like iOS 26.5.1 to clean up the mess. That's why this update matters more than people think. Now, Apple hasn't officially revealed every single detail yet, but based on Apple's update patterns, beta behavior, and previous releases, this update is expected to focus heavily on stability, performance, and security patches. Translation? Your iPhone may actually feel smoother after this one. Especially if you're using devices like the iPhone 14, iPhone 15, or even older models that started feeling sluggish after recent updates. Here's where it gets interesting. A lot of people blame their battery when the real problem is background indexing after a major iOS release. Most users never know this. After a big update, iPhones silently reprocess photos, files, messages, and AI-related indexing tasks in the background. That can crush battery life for days. But smaller cleanup updates like iOS 26.5.1 often optimize those background processes. So if your battery has been draining faster lately, this update could make a noticeable difference without you changing anything else. And there's another reason this update matters. Security. This is the part casual users skip over. But advanced users pay attention to it immediately. Apple's small updates often patch zero-day vulnerabilities. That means security flaws hackers can actively exploit before most people even know they exist. Sometimes Apple won't even fully explain the vulnerability until weeks later. That's why cybersecurity experts usually install these updates fast. Especially if you use your iPhone for banking, business, passwords, or anything sensitive. Now let's talk performance. Because this is where expectations need to stay realistic. Don't expect your iPhone to suddenly become twice as fast. That's not how these updates work. What you'll probably notice are small improvements that add up. Apps opening smoother. Fewer animation stutters. Better thermal management. More stable Bluetooth connections. Reduced app freezing. Tiny changes individually. But together? Your phone feels more polished. And honestly, that's what most people actually want. Not flashy features. Just an iPhone that works properly. Quick pattern interrupt. Most people think deleting apps is the best way to speed up an iPhone. Wrong. One of the biggest hidden performance killers is actually outdated app frameworks running against newer iOS versions. That's why after major iOS updates, some apps suddenly become buggy even though your phone itself is fine. iOS 26.5.1 is expected to improve compatibility handling between older apps and the newest system processes. In simple terms, less weird behavior. Now if you're wondering whether you should install the update immediately or wait, here's the smart approach. If your iPhone is currently stable, battery is good, no overheating, no major bugs, you can safely wait 24 to 72 hours after release and check community feedback. That's what a lot of experienced iPhone users do. But if your device has been acting up recently, this update is probably worth installing quickly. Especially if you've noticed battery drain, keyboard lag, camera freezing, random app reloads, AirDrop issues, Wi-Fi instability. Those are exactly the kinds of problems these updates usually target. Now let's talk about something most YouTube videos won't mention: storage optimization. A surprising number of iPhone slowdowns are tied to system storage fragmentation after multiple large updates. And smaller iOS cleanup updates often reorganize temporary cache systems behind the scenes. That means some users actually regain usable storage after updating. Not massive amounts, but enough to improve responsiveness. Especially on 128GB models that are nearly full. And if you create content, edit videos, or use AI apps heavily, this matters even more. AI-powered apps are using more local processing than ever now. Photo editing, voice cloning, AI transcription, image generation, smart search tools. All of that puts pressure on memory management and thermal performance. So even a small iOS update can noticeably improve workflow stability for creators and power users. Here's where things get even more interesting. Apple's recent updates have quietly focused on preparing iPhones for deeper on-device AI features. Not just cloud AI. On-device AI. That means your iPhone itself handling more intelligent tasks without sending everything to servers. And that requires serious optimization behind the scenes. Which is why updates like iOS 26.5.1 may seem boring on paper, but they're actually laying the groundwork for much bigger features coming later. That's the part most people miss. The small updates are often infrastructure updates. Now let's quickly go over what you should do before updating. First, back up your iPhone. Always. Even if updates usually go smoothly. Second, make sure you have enough free storage. At least 10 to 15 gigabytes free is ideal. Third, update your apps first before installing the new iOS version. Most people do this backwards. And that can actually cause compatibility problems. Fourth, plug your phone in during installation. Sounds obvious. But failed installs still happen more than people realize. Now one more thing. If your iPhone is older, like an iPhone 11 or earlier, don't panic if the update feels slightly warm during the first day. That's normal temporary indexing behavior after installation. What matters is how the phone behaves after 24 to 48 hours. That's when you can judge battery life properly. And honestly, this is where a lot of online complaints become misleading. People judge an update too early. Now before we wrap up, here's the surprising insight most users never hear. Some of the best iPhone experiences happen several months after a major iOS launch. Not on day one. Because Apple's later optimization patches quietly refine the experience over time. Meaning the people who install iOS 26.5.1 may actually end up with a more stable experience than users who rushed into the original release weeks earlier. That's the hidden advantage of these cleanup updates. So here's the bottom line. iOS 26.5.1 probably won't look revolutionary. But it could quietly improve battery life, security, app stability, storage behavior, and overall smoothness in ways that matter every single day. Especially if your iPhone hasn't felt quite right lately. And if Apple includes emergency security patches like many expect, this could become one of the more important, small, updates of the year. Now when the update officially drops, We'll test the real battery impact, performance changes, hidden fixes, and whether it actually improves daily use or not. Because sometimes the smallest updates make the biggest difference. And that's exactly what we'll be watching next.